What's going on? Welcome to the 2021 edition of the Off the Schneid preview series, where I'll be going over all 32 NFL teams, breaking down their roster, schedule, giving you a record prediction, as well as helping out with some betting tips. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Don't forget to check the description for links for the Off the Schneid social media and interact with me directly. I want to give a massive shout out to OurLads Scouting Services and OurLads.com, as all roster and depth chart graphics are straight off their site. If you've never been, go check them out immediately. I use their site for all NFL, fantasy, and betting purposes, and there's a link in the description for their site. Again, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, but enough of that, let's get to your favorite NFL football preview. All right, we're taking a look at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is probably going to be fairly short and sweet because, you know, what's really there to talk about? They're the best team in football, in my opinion. They're going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. So there you go. We'll start at quarterback. They got the best, the best quarterback in the game, Patrick Mahomes. Building up his Hall of Fame resume. As long as something crazy happens, he's a Hall of Famer, absolutely, and will probably go down as one of the best quarterbacks to play the game, if everything continues, which it absolutely will. So there you go. Chad Henne's the backup there, knows the offense, been around a long time. Sure, why not? They're going to have to replace him at some point. Anthony Gordon may or may not be on this team. We'll see. Eventually, they're going to have to get, a backup quarterback in here, but realistically, that's not an issue whatsoever. So, and at any point, they can grab a backup quarterback. This is like a backup quarterback's dream, destination. I can see like Chase Daniel being here again. It's you go in and you have a shot to win a Super Bowl. You're never going to play. I'm not going to say it's like a backup quarterback's dream, but it's like a veteran quarterback like Andy Dalton, I think, would love to come here, win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Something like that. Like a guy that, has been a starter previous in their, in their career. They know what they are now. They know they're a backup. You might as well go have a shot to win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would look at it if I were an aging quarterback sort of thing. Running back's in a good spot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, first round pick last year, should be able to eclipse that 1,000-yard mark as long as he stays healthy, which he probably, he should. He probably will. There's no reason to be concerned there. Should probably get to that 1,500 roughly total yards, rushing and receiving, obviously. Probably, the low teens in total touchdowns. 12 or 13, something like that, which is very good, very, very good for this offense considering. Darrell Williams, I think, is a bit of an underrated kind of commodity and an underrated backup. I think that he's perfect for this offense. I think that he can absolutely do some good things. He was 39 touches, 63 touchdowns are gone with Le'Veon Bell. Darwin Thompson's still there. He should be basically similar to what he was last year, but I think there's a little bit of room for growth for Darrell Williams there. I think they're comfortable. I would be comfortable if something should happen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Darrell Henderson's the guy, and you could rotate him and Darwin Thompson. Darwin Thompson being more of the pass catching back out of this backfield. Elijah McGuire comes in as well. Jerick McKinnon, again, pass catching back, can spell, can do. They have depth, and realistically, they just have depth everywhere. That's why this is going to be short and sweet, because they're just so good. They have depth everywhere. They've done everything they can to just build another Super Bowl team, which is what I think they have here. Move over to tight end, I guess. Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the game. Nick Keiser's still there. Blake Bell's still there. They bring in Noah Gray, in the fifth round of this year's draft. So it'll probably be those four guys. Maybe they'll only roll with three, as long as everybody stays healthy, kind of a thing. But not an issue there whatsoever. Move over to the wide receiver spot. Tyreek Hill, one of the best in the game. Mecole Hardman, field stretcher, speed guy, not that Tyreek Hill isn't a speed guy, but, speed guy that can just basically run go routes, stretch the field sort of a thing. They lost Sammy Watkins, obviously. No concern for me on that. I think Demarcus Robinson can take that role a little bit and kind of, progress from where he was last year. He had 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, 45 catches. 37 catches, 421 yards, and 2 touchdowns are gone with Sammy Watkins. I think that kind of gets gobbled up by the trio of Demarcus Robinson, Cornell Powell, who was a 5th-round pick, and Byron Pringle, who is still there. I think those guys kind of gobble up that production, and it gets kind of evenly distributed. I think if there is a number 3 wide receiver that could be drafted in fantasy leagues, it's going to be Demarcus Robinson, in my opinion. They even brought in Antonio Callaway, who you can barely see his name up there. He's obviously had some issues, off the field sort of a thing, but he's a speed guy. He looked very, very good in college. That's kind of what they've been doing, this team. When you're picking super low or at the bottom of the rounds in the NFL draft, and you're trading them away here and there type of thing, you got to bring in quality free agents. You got to roll some dice, place, and it's obviously a number very, very high, number 1 pretty much of like landing spots and destinations for free agents, which we obviously saw, this offseason. Obviously, we'll move to the offensive line now. Joe Thuney, Austin Blythe, Kyle Long comes out of retirement to play for this team. They go ahead and draft Creed Humphrey. Like, this is where, I said some things in the Raiders episode where you can't just throw guys at the roster and hope that it works. With this, you absolutely can, and you're not hoping it will work. Orlando Brown comes in to play left tackle. He wanted to play left tackle. Here you go. Best opportunity possible in the NFL, probably. There you go. Joe Thuney, one of the better guards in the league. Boom. Right beside Orlando Brown. Austin Blythe comes from the Rams. Very good spot. If he doesn't work out, Creed Humphrey's right there to take over. No big deal. Kyle Long, like I said, comes out of retirement to play likely right guard. He can play tackle. Duvernay Tardif comes back from opting out. Lucas Niang was a 3rd-round pick, might move over to the right side. We'll see. He's quality depth. He's their swing backup tackle. Not sure if Prince Tega is actually going to be on this team or not. Andrew Wiley is there. Mike Remmers is penciled in as the starting right tackle. We'll see. This offensive line is one of the better offensive lines in the game. It wasn't even that big of an issue in the regular season for this team. Obviously, it was a massive problem in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, especially. So they did everything to, make it not only a strength, but one of the better offensive lines in the game, in my opinion. So that's when it works, right? In my humble opinion, you can't just throw talent at a roster and hope it works. Sometimes you can, and in this situation, you can. With the Raiders, it's not working. So there you go. Move over to the defensive side of the ball. They have pieces everywhere. They have a difference maker at every level, which I always like, right? But there is some missing pieces there where I think they make up for those deficiencies. They play very, very good as a team. This is a very good team defensive unit. And Steve Spagnuolo does a fantastic job at, keeping offenses guessing and off balance and, unsure where the blitz is coming from, whatever. I think Steve Spagnuolo is a very good defensive coach and does a very good job with what he has. Also, GM Brett Veach, I believe, has done a great job at bringing in, he's not just throwing talent and hoping it sticks. He's being, very, very strategic with, the guys that he's bringing in and why he's bringing them in, sort of a thing. So we'll start on the defensive line, which is going to be, getting after the quarterback is going to be a bit of an issue, potentially. We'll see. It may not be. We'll see how guys work out. Frank Clark is going to have some legal issues, most likely. So we'll see, where that lands. He's probably going to miss a couple games, at least at the start of the season. We'll see how that all shakes out. When he comes back, he'll be Frank Clark. And this is what I like. So I'll go to Taco Charlton, former first round pick. So that's going to be a narrative a little bit here. Former first round pick, team gives up on, hey, we'll take a shot on you. You know, you have first round talent. So at least someone else thought you're a first round talent. We'll bring you in and hopefully you can play well for us. Jaron Reed, team gave up on him. Hey, very, very talented. I'm a huge Jaron Reed fan, and I think he's going to be fantastic for this team. So, hey, Seattle Seahawks are giving up on you. Why don't you come on win a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs? Chris Jones is fantastic. One of the best kind of all-around defensive players. He might play a little bit of end for this team. He's going to play inside and outside, you know, and Jaron Reed coming in is going to facilitate that and help that. You know what I mean? If you got Derek Nottie, Jaron Reed, Taco Charlton, and Chris Jones on your line in a pass rushing type of a situation, that's pretty dangerous. Mike Dana, 5th round pick last year, had an okay rookie year. He's going to progress. He's going to be, you know, a rotational pass rusher kind of a guy. Maybe he takes even more of a step forward. We'll see. I don't mind Mike Dana at all. But there's a couple deficiencies there. So what I do, if I'm you know, Brett Veach, if I'm the Chiefs, I look at free agency. I look at a familiar face, and I go ahead and bring in Justin Houston. I think it makes more than too much sense. Bring him in, and that's going to shore up those concerns that I have. You know, they're minor concerns, but that's going to completely shore that up for me. He can absolutely still get the job done. He should, you know, realistically, I think he would be okay with taking a bit of a discount there. I don't think they can afford Melvin Ingram. Otherwise, I'd say go after him. But, you know, he's a familiar face, potentially takes a discount to come win a Super Bowl with his old team. So there you go. Move back towards the secondary. Their linebackers are in a better spot than they have been in a while for me. Anthony Hitchens is still there, can still get the job done. I'm a big fan of Willie Gay. I really liked him in the draft. 2nd round pick, I really like what he can do. Nick Bolton slipped, fell to them in the 2nd round. Great pick. Ben Neiman, I don't mind either. So you got all these guys that can contribute, and you know, you got starters, you got depth, everything you need. Moving to the secondary, Dirty Dan Sorensen still there. He's very underrated, very quality player, leader. You know, I like Dan Sorensen quite a bit. Juan Thornhill still there. I really like him. He can do a lot of good things. Tyrann Mathieu is going to need a new contract likely after this year is over, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But the Honey Badger is still a very good player, very good football player in my opinion, and he's a difference maker on the back end. Looking at their corners, a tiny bit of a weakness, but this is where, again, hey, your former first round pick, your team gave up on you. DeAndre Baker's a little different because, you know, there's obviously some issues there, but hey, former first round pick, why don't you come play with the Chiefs, win a Super Bowl potentially? Mike Hughes, former first round pick, they got Mike Hughes and a 7th for a 6th round pick. And Mike Hughes is a former first round pick for the Vikings. That's extreme value. I know that Mike Hughes has, you know, struggled to stay healthy. He's definitely had some issues there, but he's a former first round talent for a 6th round pick, and he got a 7th back. Like, that's just like, Brett Veach has done a fantastic job. DeAndre Baker, former first round pick corner for the Giants. Obviously, there's some more issues there on that one. It doesn't matter. I don't want to get into, but hey, you know, former first round pick, why don't you come over here and play for us? L'Jarius Sneed, very good. Really liked him out of the draft as well. Travarius Ward, you know, he can get the job done as well. Rashad Fenton, they're okay. Like, there's nothing really wrong with this. And as long as they play as a team, and if one of Mike Hughes or DeAndre Baker are difference makers on this team, they're laughing. They're absolutely laughing. So there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments there. There's really no real weaknesses. You know, they could use a little bit of help on the back end in the secondary, the defense. Not a huge concern, but they could use some help back there. And then on the defensive line as well. But if they go out and grab Justin Houston, they're in a very, very, very good spot. And not that they aren't already. Like I said earlier, this is my pick to win the Super Bowl. I don't think it's particularly close. I think that there's a small potential for this team to go undefeated this year. So with that, let's take a look at their record prediction for 2021. All right, 15-2. Very, very good record is what I'm projecting. There's a potential, small potential, that they can go undefeated. They're just that good. High side 16-1, low side 13-4. Like, regardless of anything, this is a playoff team, and they're going to win this division. Like, unless an absolute disaster strikes, this team is winning the division and they're going to the playoffs. 1.35 on your money. You're going to have to parlay that with something to get any real value. I'll be picking the Chiefs to win this division. I've already said earlier in this episode, I've said it since they traded for Orlando Brown, literally. Once they traded for Orlando Brown, they made that trade. I said, Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I'm sticking to it. Here I am. They're winning the Super Bowl this year. And they're going to be one of, if not the best team in football. Very good potential is them and the Bucs again in the Super Bowl. This year, I think the Chiefs get that win. So there you go. I'm not ready to pick the Bucs in the Super Bowl just yet, but I do have the Chiefs in there for sure. So let's break down the schedule here. And why do I have them losing a couple games? Because they have a pretty tough schedule. They actually do. They're a very, very, very good team. They're the best team in the game, but they have a pretty tough schedule. They play a lot of their out of conference and out of division schedule is pretty tough. So let's blow through it. It starts in week 1. It's at home, so they get the win against the Browns because it's at home. It's a tougher game, but that's a tough game, man. And then Baltimore doesn't get much easier on the road against Baltimore Ravens. That's a tough game. Very winnable. I look at their record. I think they probably get that win, but that's a tough schedule right there. Then at home against the Chargers. The Chargers are the second best team in this division. That's a fairly tough game. They get the win though. On the road against the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they absolutely pummel the Eagles, even in Philadelphia. I think they absolutely get that win. At home against the Buffalo Bills, tough game. That's a tough game. So at home, they've shown they can beat the Bills, and I think that they do, especially at home. So there you go, but tough game. On the road against the Washington football team, that's not easy, especially in Washington. That's a tough game, right? On the road against the Tennessee Titans, tough game. Realistically, every single team they play in the first 7 weeks, except with the exception of the Eagles, I have as a playoff team. So that's tough, man. That's a tough stretch to open the season. Mind you, again, I do think that they're the best team in football and they probably win the majority of these games, but I may have been a little lofty on my 15-2, but they are just that good and they could just beat all of these teams without too many issues. But it's a tough stretch. Tennessee Titans, they probably get that win for sure. Like I do like them to win that game, but the Tennessee Titans are a good team. At home against the New York Giants, another potential playoff team. At home especially, I think they're a better team overall. They get that win. At home against the Green Bay Packers, another playoff team. Tough game. At home, they're going to get that win though. On the road against the Vegas Raiders, they're going to pump the Raiders. At home or on the road, I don't care. They're beating the Vegas Raiders. At home against the Dallas Cowboys, tough game. Again, another tough game, another playoff team. At home, though, their defense is very weak, in my opinion. The Cowboys, not very weak. It's improving, but it is a weakness. And the Chiefs are going to get that win. Bye week 12, very good bye week for the Chiefs. They're absolutely a playoff team. They're a veteran team. That's a good spot to have their bye. Absolutely a good spot. Coming out of the bye, they're going to beat the Denver Broncos. They're going to beat the Vegas Raiders at home. They're going to probably... the only potential loss they have in this division, in my opinion, is going to be to the Chargers. And I'm going to say only in LA. So they're going to win those next 2 games coming out of their bye. And then, short week on the road against the Chargers, that's a potential game that they could lose. Realistically, I'm not going to pick out, the 2 games that they lose. But, it's going to be one of these games against these tough teams. At home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they absolutely pumped the Steelers. On the road against my Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to beat my Bengals unless they're sitting guys for whatever reason. I don't know if they would in that game, but week 18 on the road against the Broncos, that's a potential loss if they're sitting everybody. If they've already wrapped up the division, they've already wrapped up like the bye, the only bye, then they might sit a bunch of guys against the Broncos, and the Broncos could squeak out a win there somehow. I'm not too concerned about that regardless. So there you go. Like, realistically, there's not a crazy amount to talk about because they're just that good of a team, and they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division. They're going to be Super Bowl contenders. I'm picking to win the Super Bowl. So there you go. Not a crazy amount to talk about. So let me know what you think in the comments. But there's your breakdown for the 2021 Kansas City Chiefs.